All right. Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. We are here. Well, I am here right now. This is the first time that I've done this without Dakota. However, I will not be alone through this episode. Um, this is actually monumental. We are bringing in a guest for the first time. We've been talking about being able to do it, and now I think we've got a pretty cool setup here. So we're bringing in Tom McCormick. He's a real estate investor out of Windsor, and he's got a pretty cool project that we're going to be talking about. Kind of challenging highest and best use in this case. So we're going to dissect that a little bit. If you guys are new here, welcome in. This is our power lunch. Normally I do this live with Dakota, my wife and business partner. But yeah, we're pretty excited about this one. If you are returning, welcome back. We like to do these as interactive as possible. So we are live on Facebook, on Dakota Barker's channel, and also on YouTube, on our Opinicon Investments YouTube channel. Please drop a comment. Let us know what you think of what we're talking about, of the topic. If you have experiences, if you have comments, that kind of thing. We want it to be as interactive as possible. Otherwise, Tom and I, for today's episode, are just kind of going to be going back and forth. So without further ado, I'll bring in Tom. Hopefully this is working here. Again, this is the first time, so bear with. Tom, I think you're live here. We're live. Welcome in. we're either gonna be rock stars or crash and burn, or somewhere in the middle. I think those are the options. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Okay. Of course, of course. So if you want, really quickly, just give a quick little introduction about who you are, kind of your experience, that kind of thing. That's how you get around, right? Nice. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Awesome. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about this project. So I've kind of kept people in suspense, just saying that we are rethinking highest and best use, because typically many people will buy like a single family home and put a unit in the basement, turn it into a triplex or that kind of thing, add units, right? But you're doing things a little bit differently. Everybody was chasing the market, right? As the interest rates dropped, or sorry, interest rates increased, the housing prices were dropping. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. I love that. Mm. 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 Is that a technical term? Janky? Nice. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Right. Okay. In Ottawa, we have there's height limitations. Like you have to have a certain height ceiling to put a unit in a basement. I'm assuming it's similar in Windsor. Right. Yeah. Okay, okay. I see. So there's a few things. There's definitely a few reasons on why you've gone against the grain and you're reducing the amount of units within this. We can't hear Tom. You hear me, but you can't hear Tom. Oh boy. After all that, after that entire description, I hear you loud and clear, and the stream should hear you. I don't know why the stream can't. But I think the problem is that I don't know how to fix this. You know what I mean? Because I don't know why it's not working. I have a mute button for you. I hear you loud and clear. Undo, unmute. No, see, I can mute you. Oh God, no, we're not doing this. I mean, that's thinking outside the box. We're talking about thinking outside the box already. I love it. Yeah, I mean, we can certainly do that. I've got my phone here. I can, yeah, sure. That'll do it. All right, so we'll start this. Ooh, kill the video on here.
I muted myself as well through
This is good audio quality.
Can you get yours now?
All right, I think I hear you. Just turn your camera off on the phone.
Yeah, save some Wi-Fi there.
There we go. All right, people in the chat. I'm sure you can hear, but I just want to make sure. Dakota had to come in to tell me.
Oh no, that's glad she's checking.
I did see a message that there was a volume issue, but I thought it might have just been one person. Dakota.
No worries. I don't know if your viewers
we can
know,
hear, but it's not great. Okay, got it.
So wait a second. Let me take this out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't need these either.
I was here like you and me twice.
I told you this was gonna be good or crash and burn, but
hey, we're still about here. We're not down here.
All right, fair enough.
It's okay.
We didn't give up. So I hope
it was 22 because I hope I didn't jinx it. Back when I did one of my first Facebook lives, I set it all up, and then the people I was interviewing, they couldn't hear me. They could hear the other person. So it was the exact same situation. So there's something about these streaming softwares where you really got to be very careful on, I guess, some certain settings. Like there's too much troubleshooting.
Yeah, I figured that because I could hear you that it was good. I could see your mic moving and everything. So anyway, we hear you now. So welcome, Tom. Let's try this again.
Hello again. Yeah.
Maybe do a quick little intro on who you are, and we'll start this again.
Sure. Yeah, I'll kind of speed through it a bit because I'm not sure how much time you've allotted here, but
we're usually about 30 minutes, but we can do 45 as well. It's fairly common that we go over. So
sure, yeah, and I'm in no rush either. But anyhow, I'm a local investor here in Windsor. You can see the sign above here, and I've been investing since COVID times, so about 3.5 years, not quite 4. And how I began actually is what I house hacked. I created an ADU unit in my basement, a legal unit. And then from there, I was thinking, what other things can I do to generate some more active income? And so started doing wholesaling. And then also, we lost the screen. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we still hear you, but I'll bring it back in. I don't know why I did that
I just
before.
I saw the screen blink for a second. Maybe that's my computer. But
I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter to Streamlabs.
So far, so good. Though, could be worse. We could see none of our faces. But then I started doing some flips, and then recently, as of last fall, I'm also a U.S. investor now in Cleveland, Ohio. But this property in particular that we've been talking about is in Windsor, and it's a duplex. And the thing about this place is it was a problem property to begin with, and I misjudged the market a little bit because we thought we were going to initially wholesale this, just do some light cosmetic renovations, clean up the front yard because it was really overgrown and really it was just a mess, and not put in more than, like, honestly, we were just had $4,000 into it, and that was it. And then the problem was this was where the peak interest rates were still climbing, and everything, all the prices were still dropping. And so we didn't really get any bites. And we were kind of hoping we get maybe a Toronto investor that wanted to do duplex, but that didn't pan out. And that hoping is not a good strategy. So you need to actually have some
Smoking the
more
hopium.
exit strategies. The hopium, I like that one. Yes, that's what Alfonso says, I think, right?
Yeah, smoking the
That
hopium.
sounds familiar. It's something wealth genius wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we thought, what can we do to, I guess, essentially salvage this, if I'm being honest, and how can we turn this into a win?
Mhm.
And so I talked to quite a few real estate investors. There's a lot to shout out, but and realtors as well, and had them physically walk through the property, or even like Zoom call them in kind of thing, just to get their opinions on what do you think needs to be done. And a lot of the feedback was that, one, the layout of the units were really bad, and the reason I say this is because it's an up-down duplex with a basement with like zero ceiling height, so you can't really do anything about that. You can't really add units to this. And the main floor actually had a unit, like a room connected through a spiral staircase upstairs. So there was no way to really access this place, and you'd have to go through other units. So the layout was just terrible, and we were thinking, what else? What other negatives are there? We're trying to see what we need to fix. Driveway was also bad. There's no parking, and there's no public transit around either. And Windsor you really need a car to get around Windsor. It's not like Toronto where you can just hop on the TTC. I know that's reliable and reliable too. So
public transit? What do you mean?
Yeah. But long story short, we did come to the decision to deconvert this, and we saw this as a way to actually get a good return on our investment, or at least turn this not into a massive loss, because a lot of these homes are in the 700 to in the low 900 range. So these are not first-time home buyer houses. These are nice family homes, in like 4 or 5 bedroom homes. Some of these. So if we deconvert this, it would really fit in with the neighborhood, because this neighborhood is full of young children. And I even talked to some neighbors too to get some information on what they think, and they hated the fact that it was a duplex, and they were actually kind of I learned later, and I don't really blame them. They were actually talking to people walking through the property when we had listed it to sell it as a duplex, and they're saying, "Don't buy this thing. This is terrible," because it caused
just because they didn't
investor.
want the duplex to be there.
And
they didn't want anybody to own it too.
So
wow.
Yeah, they really were also pushing us in that direction, whether I liked it or not.
Okay, so there's a few reasons on why this wasn't a good idea to keep this as a duplex. But you bought this as a duplex. You weren't converting it and then running into issues with that. You bought this, it was a duplex.
No.
And then you learned after buying this that it was better that you converted it back into a single family home. It would have been higher value to convert this into a single family.
Exactly, because if we would have had to renovate 2 kitchens and do 2 laundries and double the appliances, that also adds to your budget, right?
Yeah.
And it adds to the timelines as well. And the fact that there were these other issues that we're just kind of thinking, if I was an investor personally, would I buy this duplex for the price point that I would need to sell it at to get a win?
Yep.
My answer was no.
Got it. And
so was a lot of other people's. And so that was kind of a signal to me to say, hey, well, who would buy this property, and in what condition or what state would they buy it? And so that's how we thought, okay, this needs to be a single family and be a 5-bed, 2.5 bath, and it'll be a nice place for a family with kids. And it'll fit the neighborhood too, and it's in a good location as well, and like towards Tecumseh and the river. And that's kind of was the archetype buyer that I had in mind in order to make the decision on deconverting this. But I didn't take this lightly, because personally, with doing like the ADU and everyone else always trying to add units and add value and add more cash flow, I was really hesitant at first, saying to myself, I was kind of doubting myself at first, but this might not work. But that's again why I asked for other people's opinions and tried to make sure that I wasn't doing something ridiculous. In a better sense of the word. So
you looked at, just to kind of summarize a little bit, you looked at number one, you looked at the driveway. The driveway is a tandem driveway, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of of duplexes that do have a tandem driveway. The tenants kind of figure it out, but I can see that being an issue. You also looked at the neighborhood. So you're kind of going into more of a micro view of this, right? You're looking at the specific neighborhood, not just, okay, does Windsor need duplexes? Because the answer to that question is yes. Windsor does need duplexes, but that neighborhood does not need a duplex.
Yeah, I would argue this neighborhood does not, because in Riverside, Tecumseh area, on this street in particular as well, a lot of families. I was always seeing the guy mow his lawn, the next guy's, and kids were playing in the yards, like with each other, running across the street.
Right.
I was like, it was a lot of people want to move there. I was told as well, with realtors saying like this is a desirable location that families move to.
Okay.
And that's kind of the feedback that I kept getting. And I'll be honest, I didn't really consider that at the time. I was thinking investor mindset the whole time, saying someone will buy this for the cash flow, and I should have probably done my due diligence for the area and specifically first, as opposed to just overarching, like you said. Duplexes are awesome. Multifamily is awesome.
Right. So were you planning to hold this, or this was a flip all along? Like you bought this with the intention of turning it around and selling it?
This was the intention of turning around and selling it.
Okay.
Either way. And that's why the way we finance this, that's why, as much as I would have loved to almost keep it, because I could have kept it and I could have probably dealt with the hassle temporarily with tenants and whatnot until like the rates come back and prices come back to where we need them to be, and just hold on. But because we were financing this with debt, we needed to get out and kind of stick to the original timeline, because otherwise, the longer the project lasts, obviously, you know that you're going to be have a lot more carrying costs, and that eats at your bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, carrying costs can be very costly, especially with. Did you say private money? Yeah. So what would be the interest rate on that?
Mortgage. Pardon?
What would be the interest rate on the mortgage itself?
We got an interest rate of 10% with Calvert.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because that's like the classic flipper. Flipper.
We used Calvert on a flip. We had a 16% interest rate. And this is when interest rates were like, your standard interest rates were 3%, 2%. Everybody thought we were absolutely crazy. But the difference is we put $20,000 down on this property, right?
Oh yeah.
So we had very minimal amount into the property, and it was a very, very fast flip. We were from close to close, it was 4 months.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
and
that's not bad
and
at
the
all.
profit margin covered the carrying cost, right? So it makes sense. So that's one important lesson, actually, is the cost of money should be taken into consideration, but isn't really the only factor. Right? You need to just factor it into your numbers, and if it still makes sense, then who cares how much that money costs?
Absolutely, Jeff. Yeah. That I like Calvert just as a side tangent, because you do get the option of either 20,000 down, or you can do 20%. But you have options,
and your rate gets better. Yeah. I think I fixed the audio. Can we do a really quick test? I just want to see, and let me unmute my because I have it up on Facebook as well. I'll unmute.
No worries. I'm gonna mute this quick too.
I think I fixed it, guys. I think I fixed it.
Testing 1 2 3. Hello.
It does work. Yeah. I have to mute Facebook.
Oh, amazing.
Hold on.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna drop Facebook then too.
I'm a genius, and I figured it out.
Mr. IT support right there.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
I'm retired, but I still know what I'm doing. Okay, so that's good. Everything sounds much better now, I'm sure.
Oh, amazing. Thanks for your patience, guys. And good stuff, Jeff. That was awesome.
Okay, I really like this. I like how you thought outside of the box, right? I think that's really important. And being creative and being able to pivot in harder times is really what makes or breaks an investor, right? It's the difference between an investor who's sophisticated with Dakota, and I say this all the time, putting tools in your tool belt, right? Being able to
Mhm.
pivot when you need to, being able to pull out a different tool to be able to have a creative solution, whether that be a financing solution, um, a pivot on what you're actually the direction you're going with the property.
Yep.
We ran into something very similar actually with some flips that we had. We were chasing the market as the interest
Mhm.
rates were going up, right? We were doing the same thing. We ended up doing the opposite. We turned a single family home that was a flip into duplexes to buy and hold
Gotcha.
when originally we were going to sell. There was additional creativity with that because we had to get a qualifier. Again, we were on private money for it. So
Oh, like
the buy and
qualifiers in like a JV kind of thing, like split equity?
yeah, so we ended up doing a flip to JV is kind of what we call it.
Mhm.
Because we owned it 100%, but then we brought in a qualifier to qualify for an A
The
lender
refinance.
mortgage. Yeah, and so we were able to get better rates than private. I mean, anything is better than that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And turned it into something that's going to cash flow. But again, we added units to a single family home. Luckily, these were both bungalows, and we were able to add those units. So
Awesome. No, that's a
same
great value add right there.
same idea, but just in reverse, right? You looked at it from a different perspective, um, and thought outside the box, and I think that's really cool.
No, thank you. Yeah, I definitely have people to thank for that, for just everyone's input, because without people's experience, like who are definitely ahead of me and have skin in the game and been around for a long time, without their suggestions, I don't know if I would have come to this conclusion, or at least
Mhm.
not nearly as quickly. So it definitely helped. And it was,
Actually, that's a good segue because Dakota just came into the chat. So actually, I didn't say this. I didn't tell anybody why Dakota's not here. She is around. She woke up with uh, basically a swollen eye. There was some allergic reaction, and to paint the picture, if you've seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith after he eats the shellfish, that's kind of what Dakota woke up looking like today.
oh
So-
no, I hope you feel better,
so,
Dakota.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
hopefully she's starting to feel better now, but she wasn't ready to come on stream, understandably. But
Yeah.
she posed a question in the chat. So you had said that you asked a lot of people in your community for advice. What were those conversations like, and where did you find the people that you had asked for advice? Really good question.
Yeah, that's great. I guess the way I kind of posed the question to them, I said, hey, I know you've done flips before. I looked specifically for flippers first, and then I had a couple of realtors. But for the flippers, I said, hey, come walk the property, physically walk through with me. What would you do? And I was literally taking notes, or at least mental notes, saying, what would you do about this? Would you convert this? Would you leave this wall? Would you gut this part of the floor? Like, what would you do, or where would you save costs? So these were the kind of questions I was asking.
And this
And
is
then
around like the crappy layout that you had mentioned, right? The layout
and
wasn't
that
very
too.
good. There wasn't easy
Exactly.
access to certain areas of the home for one unit.
Mhm.
Okay.
And asking too, if we remove that staircase, for instance, the spiral staircase, we actually gain more floor area in the living room,
Mhm.
and we also gain like a fully isolated, dedicated bedroom, because the only access you
For the
had
other
was for another
unit.
bedroom. Yeah, exactly. Either way,
Okay, I like that.
whether it was going to be a duplex or a single family, I think that spiral staircase, as nice as it looks on it, like Instagram or something like that, it had to go.
Wait,
So that was like, for instance,
the spiral staircase is gone now?
yeah, I
Oh
know. I
no.
know. I
Okay.
kind of I'll be honest, I liked it, and some people also said they liked it, but it turned out that we did remove it after
Okay.
all.
All right.
I think I'll show you the picture of that probably. But yeah, so the way I found these people though was I kind of looked into my network, and one realtor, Milena, I knew her because she's Wealth Genius, and she has a real estate meetup around here in Windsor. Shout out to Jeremy McGraw as well. He's the realtor that I asked for help, because he does a lot of flips as well. So he's like the dual candidate right there. And so again, I asked them, what do you think the market comps look like? What do you think this neighborhood needs? What do you think?
Good questions.
Yeah, what do you think people are saying? Like, what was the feedback initially when we tried to sell this with the other realtor that we initially tried to sell with? Like, trying to gather all the feedback. And then based on the answers that I got from one person, I would then ask kind of similar questions and vet that against their answers to try to see what aligns and what maybe is an outlier. So I tried to really, I don't want to say be analytical, but I was trying to be critical of everyone's responses and even of my own, because I don't claim to know everything. Being only 3.5 years in the game, I still got so much to learn. So I is a good way to almost humble myself to ask other people's opinions and and hear what they actually have to say and be teachable, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely, yeah. Being coachable is important. I I often say, if somebody says that they know everything, I assume they know nothing. Because at that point, they're not willing to learn. They're not open to new ideas, right?
Yep.
They have some form of limiting belief, and that limiting belief might be that they know everything, but nobody can possibly know everything, right? So,
Yeah. The thing about belief, just that one really quick thing to touch on too. I think mindset was a thing that really helped me, because initially I was actually in the dumps. I was thinking, man, this is a big loss. And I kept calling it a loss. But then as soon as I said, okay, so what can I do? And how can I take this back into my control? How can I turn this into a win? What does a win look like? And wasn't talking negatively about it. Then that's when I also noticed I was actually getting a good direction or good feedback, or at least I was feeling better internally. That helped me then think more clearly to actually solve the problem. Because I think normally I have a negative or pessimistic bent to myself. Like I'm always a little bit glass half empty. But now, over the course of not just this project, but over time, I've been trying to make myself more positive, and that's definitely been helping. And that helped me with this, because I don't think under the stress sometimes you don't make the right calls. But when you're more calm and you're thinking, okay, this isn't the end of the world. What can I do? And I have all these people to reach out to. It's not going to be it's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. So we often talk about having a power team, but part of I guess that power team is really just your network and being able to go and reach out to people within your community that can give you a different perspective. Right? Because
Absolutely.
you can't think of everything, and somebody else's different perspective might be really beneficial. And then mindset is huge. If you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
if you sit there and say I can't do this, you're right. Then you can't, because you're not willing to do anything to make that happen.
Yeah.
But if you say I can do this, or how can I do this, the question how empowers you, right? And so it allows you to start thinking of solutions rather than just stopping it dead.
Yes. Yeah. How, who, all those sort of things. You got to ask those questions, because then it definitely can open some doors, or give you more options, at least, on what you can potentially do.
Dakota says basically what I just said. She said, we are always learning.
There you go.
Good for you for being vulnerable and seeking advice from others around you. That's why having the right power team and the right community is so important.
Yeah. I can't stress that enough. Honestly, I think not just even real estate, in life, you need to have people that are close to you that you can rely on. And so you need to maintain those relationships and build them as well.
Absolutely.
Especially in real estate. That's the name of the game, is people.
It's people.
It's people. The wealth genius thing is saying it's what's between you and your objectives or your goals. It's people are right in the middle of those two things.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, people.
I don't know, tying it all back into all the coachingness and all the modules.
It's powerful stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's gotten us to where we are now, and it's allowing us to continue on, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Go with people.
I like that one. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else to unpack with your project?
Well, I'll just say right now we're still in the middle of it, or we're nearing the end. It's gonna be good, good to go May 1st. That's what we're projecting, but we're actually trying to scrunch the timeline a little bit more. Again, save on carrying costs and just get it listed in the spring rather than kind of towards summertime.
Okay.
But
it's a good market. The spring market is always a hot market.
I hope. I know I said not to hope, but there could be a little cherry on top potentially if rates do drop even slightly. and plus it's summer anytime anyhow, so people will start to jump back in the market. So I'm I'm pretty positive on the time that we are going to list is going to be a good time, as opposed to listing in December or January when it's going to
Yeah.
be just crickets.
Nobody wants to move. Everybody on holidays. Yeah, it's a tough
Exactly.
time to list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I'm looking forward to this one, and it'll be good to also just get off the plate eventually, and another notch in the belt, saying, "Hey, we weathered this storm. What's next, or what other bigger project can we do?" Because I'm
Okay.
sure there's going to be other even bigger mistakes or bigger issues that come up, and then this one will feel like nothing in comparison to future issues they have to deal with. So I'm looking forward to that because this is a good growing moment and learning opportunity.
Yeah, it's good that
Yeah.
you're looking at it as a learning opportunity as well. Obviously, you're coming at this one from a different lens of, hey, we had this major issue and we lost. You're actually coming through and saying we had this major roadblock and we were able to get around it by doing this pivot, this new strategy.
Yep.
And that goes a long way with your resilience, right? We actually, Dakota and I were talking about having a show for specifically resilience in entrepreneurial in for entrepreneurs in that world, and for real estate investors, because there's so many times where a refi doesn't come back the way you wanted it to, or an appraisal or something like that, and now you do need to
Right.
do that pivot,
Right.
or interest rates come in and mess people up, right?
Mm.
So there's a lot of resiliency that's required, and those that come through the other side of difficult times are the ones that are resilient and have, like I keep saying, tools in your tool belt to be able to pivot.
Yeah. It's a time to learn, definitely, and to pivot.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's the name of the game. But
Yeah. Win or learn.
yeah, win or learn. There's never really a loss because you can always learn something from it.
As
So
long as you learn from it. That's right. Yeah.
yeah. But
Again,
no
going in with that
losses
open
here. No
mind.
losses here though.
Yeah.
it'll
I love
be
it.
it'll be at least like we were saying here, if not better. It's not dipping here.
Exactly. Even this power lunch. We might have to cut out kind of the beginning of this, but
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. At least you got the recording. Yeah, you can snip it, so it seems like we were always doing it the right way on purpose.
Yeah, there was never an issue. What do you mean?
Yeah, beauty of post cutting it.
Connor, if you're watching, I need your help with this one.
I hear he's the man now for all this stuff, and
he's got some talent, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on here, being
you.
the guinea pig on how we get these done with guests, but
Happy to be.
and sharing your story, your vulnerability, and just kind of talking about the project that you have going on.
Awesome. No, thanks, Jeff, and thank you, Dakota, in the background too. But no, I appreciate the time, and thanks for putting me on here. And thanks for being my coach too, and talking about all this stuff. And
of course,
onwards and upwards, guys. This is great.
If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way they can?
I guess you can contact me on Instagram or on Facebook. I think those are the best ways. My Facebook is just Tom McCormick, and you'll find me there. And then on Instagram, it's T McCormick _. And so it was also linked in Jeff's story. So I think it's pretty easy to find me there. So
and
reach
we'll
out.
Put it in the comments, here, so that you can find in case there's
awesome
spelling mistakes. Click a link.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate it, and thank you for everyone who tuned in as well to hear us talk about this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in. Yeah, please like, comment, subscribe. If you think that anybody else would benefit from this as well, please share it. It goes a long way. We can help somebody. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.